Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Pabs, a wrestling VTuber and an artist, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of illustration work. Now, previously on stream, I've done these things where I have a randomizer choose 3 different emojis for me, and I try to make a character design based on those emojis. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a step up. Rather than character design being the focus of it, the idea is going to be to... The idea is going to be to create a small illustration based on the 3 emojis. So I imagine part of it will also be the character design, but also part of it will be, trying to roll with the punches and trying to figure out how I should go about that. So first of all, I'm very proud of myself for having remembered to turn on the... What's that thing again where it's like it captures things really quickly? Oh, there it is. Yeah, the time lapse. Okay, let's see. I've got myself my little browser window back here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit this first one up. Emoji, datasets, emojis. Oh, we can choose from actually like different ones. I'm guessing this one will generate a... Oh, it already has some chosen. I won't try dark mode feature. I don't need to. This is a normal website. I'm going to be here for literally 5 minutes, but I appreciate the thought. This is actually an interesting combination, but, I feel like it's not truly random unless we kind of hit the generate key. So let's see what that does. All right, we got crayon, handshake, and magnifying glass. Okay. Interesting combination. Definitely not as busted as some of the other ones I've had. I think this is definitely like on the lower end scale of the busted spectrum. From a scale of 1 to 10 on the busted spectrum, 10 being completely busted and 0 being... What would be the opposite of busted? Because I feel like the opposite of busted, some people would consider that to be like functional, right? Okay, so I think the ones to focus on are going to be crayon. Crayon and magnifying glass have interesting compatibility because with the magnifying glass, magnifying glasses have like certain properties. So, for example, they can set ants on fire. They can be used as like a shorthand for a detective type character. I guess they magnify stuff. That they also very famously do that. Also, as a quick aside, I have been playing around with my microphone settings, so if those have been freaking out a little bit, please let me know at once. I will try to adjust them as necessary. Compressors are weird. I feel like the output in my streams is different to the ones that I do recording. Like, you should see... Okay. You ought to see, like, the... Okay, so... I think with this, right... The first idea that comes to my head is... Because of the hands, right? Because there's, like, a little shaking hands thing... Weirdly enough, that doesn't inspire me to make sure that there are 2 characters. It inspires me to... Well, I mean... I could make 2 characters, one based on a crayon and one based on a I mean, that could also just be a marker. Some markers are also patterned this way, but that's very clearly a crayon. So okay, so crayon and magnifying glass shaking hands. So yeah, this one might actually be a little bit more busted than expected. I mentioned before, right, that I was talking earlier, like something working properly isn't like the opposite of busted. I feel like it's the absence of bustedness if something is working properly. So I guess like the opposite of being busted is if something is working too well. Let's see. I remember a long time ago I saw somebody made it like a really beautiful, like make really beautiful Portal fan art using crayons. And that always impressed me quite a bit. I never quite got the hang of crayons. Crayons was one of those. I liked pencils. Coloring pencils I was a beast with, but crayons was one of those things that I never really got the hang of. Yeah. I remember one time I tried to do like something with like those like oil pastels or whatever, those like really thick oily crayons, but I still I don't know. I don't know what ended up happening with that. I remember that like the professor got really mad at me for it for some reason. Uh, I don't remember why. I think like I was just not doing it right and they were very frustrated with me. Like they didn't yell at me, but they were obvious. Like it was one of those situations where you're like, okay, I'm clearly not grasping something, but they also don't know what I'm not grasping, or they're not willing or I'm not, or like there hasn't been an opportunity for them to like fully explain what I'm not grasping, so I'm just not going to grasp it for the time being. Hmm. I think the best way to tackle this might actually, I've just been drawing this square. I think I meant for this to be a head. The best way I can think of to do this is to just grab one of my poses and try and go from there. Let's see. Wait, motion. Oh, that's weird. I didn't know I could like make entire motion things. Let's see. I've found myself using like these idle poses very frequently. I don't know. I think they're just very dynamic, and that's why I keep kind of favoring them. For some reason, I think I'm kind of drawn towards this one. Okay, we'll have it pretty close up since we don't have. I'm trying to work with like tighter time frames, right? Hmm. I've realized a lot as well that one of the habits that I have when working with digital art is that sometimes I'll be working with like it's super zoomed out for some reason. I think that's just because like I get like an easier idea of getting like the full perspective of it with that rather than hmm, rather than like the alternative, which is just like being super zoomed in on some details. Okay, I almost imagine them like biting onto a marker right now, like they've been so wrapped up in like drawing whatever they're because if they have crayons, right, I feel like that has like an implication of like childishness or something. It feels right that they're like holding on to one with their mouth. If like this is the pose I'm going with, I feel like this is a lot like it reminds me a little bit of like when you see like especially in like how do I put this, like I remember there was this like one specific animation from like a Dragon Ishin, the game that I've been playing, that where if a character gets like super engrossed in their work, they'll like suddenly like literally drop to the floor and start writing on the nearest piece of paper that they can find. And I almost picture them like being able to do this, right? Like hold one of the markers or the crayons, what have you, in their mouths while they do that. I don't think they had crayons back in that time period. That's an interesting question that I never really focused on the how do you say the ontological origins of where did like crayons come from? Because I know they're made out of wax or actually come to think of it, where did the phrase crayon come from anyway? I'm almost picturing this dude wearing like overalls. I don't know, something that looks youthful. I feel like overalls are one of those things where like if you don't have a beard when you wear them, it has like a very youthful vibe. But if you have like a beard while you wear them, it or like facial hair, it has a very grizzled thing kind of vibe instead. So to kind of illustrate this dichotomy, imagine if like Mario didn't have a mustache, right? In that if that was the case, then the overalls on him would almost look a little, like I feel like Mario's like somewhat babyface. I think he's supposed to be like I don't know, early 30s. I don't know how old Mario is supposed to be canonically. I haven't watched the Mario movie yet. I haven't gotten caught up on the lore yet from that movie. So I don't know. Maybe they answer that in that movie. Hmm. Maybe giving them like big Coke bottle glasses will be the key as well. I'm almost picturing them like having some kind of like, how do I put this? Like some kind of a, what's the word? Some kind of like magic sigil that they've drawn with the crayons. I remember, I don't remember. Do you guys like remember like being super young and like you ran out of one crayon color, so you had to like use a slightly different but similar color, and it just ended up looking kind of weird. And this was before we knew about like what blending was, right? So it was like very difficult to, how do I put it? It was difficult to as it's difficult as a child to like plan ahead for like when you run out of resources, right? So like if you go into a drawing assuming you're going to have enough crayon, and then you suddenly don't have enough crayon, you haven't like planned for that contingency at all. You're like 5 years old, so you end up doing something, you know, yeah, you end up doing kind of something goofy to make up for it. I remember I saw this one video of a dude who went around offering people to like draw or paint a single stroke on like an art piece that they were working on. And because he visited all kinds of places, by the end of the day, it had food on it. It had like dirt on it from like where some children were playing or where some construction dudes kind of like added a stroke or two. It had hair on it from when he visited a hair salon. It had like a little like thing of fabric from where he visited a tailor. It had all kinds of things pasted on it. I think that was really cool. Hmm. Okay, I've gotten a secondary idea for like how this is gonna go. Okay, okay, I think I've gotten a second idea for how this can go. So I'm going to bend this arm like this and then rotate it like so. No, no, don't put your hand back there. Okay, this is fine. And I feel like the wrist almost needs to be, I don't know, I kind of want them to have like a set of instructions that they're trying to read with like a magnifying glass. But I don't know where I should put those instructions. I feel like I should almost like have it like propped up on their hip right here. If that's the case, okay, hang on. If that's the case, we can probably give them a little bit more of a slouch. And then what we do instead of having like This this shoulder seems very tense. Let's relax it a little bit. Sometimes I feel like I have to switch between like mouse mode and pen mode. Okay, we do it like this. We bring this down. We bring it like this. We bring it down. How did that one song go? Like, get up, and jump around. I need to review that song. I feel like I haven't listened to it in a while. Did their head move? The head definitely moved. It must have been when I was adjusting the arm earlier. Well, that's no biggie. We'll just do some microscopic adjustment to the rest of the face. This looks because of the perspective of it is all messed up. This just looks wrong. Okay, I'm gonna. There we go. We're gonna like nix that for the moment. Oh hell. Hey Cypress, how you guys doing? I'm Pabs, a rising VTuber and artist, and today we're gonna use these three emojis to make a small illustration. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for your hard work. How's your stream? How's the Nuzlocke going? Is everyone doing well? Let's see. Yeah, before I was gonna give them overalls. Now I'm feeling like this is almost like more of a wizard vibe. I mean, wizards are allowed to wear overalls, right? I feel like they should be. T-Bulb has passed. Oh, that is sad to hear. I am sorry for your loss. Poor T-Bulb. He was the one that was with you. I think that was your starter, technically, right? Or no, wait, was that the was T-Bulb the starter or the one that the secondary starter that they gave you at one of the towns? Took many L's today. Oh dear. T-Bulb was a mega evolved Lucario. Oh, that is bitter. Yeah, that is tough. Yeah, rough stream sometimes. Hmm. I don't know how can we make overalls more wizardy? I feel like the only way is to like add like wizard patterns to them somehow, or to like turn them into half robes or something. Or I don't know. I guess the wizard. I don't know. I feel like wizard patterns. Yeah, exactly. Like stars and shit. Hmm. Thinking about it, yeah, star pattern. This almost has like. I almost feel like this is like. How do I put this? Like, I feel like this is almost like a kindergarten teacher who's like trying to like put up like protection wards on the school before class starts, and like you know they came in late and now they have to like crunch on it a little bit before the kids come in. I think that's a fun concept to go with. Hmm. I'm almost thinking like almost like Miss Frizzle esque. fashion sense, you know? Let's see. Where is a good full body picture of Miss Frizzle? There we go. Yeah, something like that. Honestly, the Magic School Bus was one of those things. Was one of those like children's TV series where like I understood the concept of it. I like understood it fundamentally. I was not one of the people who like grew up with it. I feel like if I saw a Magic School Bus episode, it was like if a teacher was like rolling in the old CRT just to on a day off or something. For us, Magic School Bus episodes were like equivalent to like the teacher putting on Bill Nye, which they also did from time to time. Hmm. I feel like this is a good way to do it. Kind of having a collar as well. I feel like that would help. Just a wizardy thing. I only ever watched it at school, never on live television. Huh. No, the cravat is too much. Although the cravat would be funny with the overalls. I don't know. Wizards don't really have cravats, I think. That's more of a lawyer thing. Or a vampire thing. Or a vampire lawyer thing. Hmm. Poofy sleeves, I think, would be a good one. Oh god, what fashionable abomination am I creating? Okay, poofy sleeves. Yeah, with like bell cuffs or something. Hmm. Having the pocket in the middle is interesting, but I feel like we could make it more on brand for this poor bastard. I also feel like wizard comes down to having good wizard hat. Oh, that's a great point, actually. Hmm. Okay, maybe. Okay, so we also have like the magnifying glass to work with. So maybe we can have that hanging off of the hat. Oh, now this is an idea. Now, this is a good pitch for it, actually. Have you ever been tired of needing to have your fancy schmancy monocle hang off from your face where it can get in the way of your beautiful makeup and or AirPods? Fear not. Now with our new and improved hat chain technology, you will no longer need to wear your monocle on your face. You can just merely have it hanging from your magnificent wizard hat. Magnifying glass not included. Yeah, exactly. New wizard fashion. Yeah. It I don't know if y'all know this. There was a time period in probably in a lot of places, but in the US specifically, I remember there was like a time period where it became like fashionable for women to have like stuffed birds on their hats. Like that was like the hot new thing at one point. I am absolutely not joking about this. Hang on, there should be old picture vintage. Let's see. Do I have There has to be Victorian taxidermy hats. Here we go. Oh, these might be somewhat upsetting, by the way. Okay, here's a good one. Yeah, of course it's Victorian. Here, so that's a bird up there. Uh, Here we go. Here's another. This old lady, like, this old lady is so stereotypically British. It's, yeah, just stuck a bird up there. Listen, when you start getting new and improved advancements in taxidermy technology, you start to get a little, you would be a little bit excited too. You know, it's hard not to, actually, it's very easy to not sympathize with these people. What the fuck was wrong with them? Although this does give me more ideas for the costume. Not with the dead bird, I mean, with the like different types of sleeves and everything. I actually quite like the sleeves on this young lady's dress. Like, it reminds me a lot of like armor for some reason. I think it's because of like the overlapping plates. I think that can be a sleeve thing. Are any of y'all wearing gloves? What? Oh, I see. Like the sleeve is being held in place by a bracelet of some kind, I think? Honestly, this outfit is just really tight. You know, minus the bird, I think you would really have some kind of like Nightcore outfit. Nightcore with a K, mind you. I mean, I guess you could add some LEDs to make it a Nightcore with a pure N outfit. Huh. This is almost kind of like overalls. If you look at it generously. Hmm. Okay, so I think the best way to wizardify is a new word that I've been, you know, I feel like wizardify needs like a little bit of a more additional time workshopping, but I think it's ready to launch. I think y'all know what I mean. Okay, so this gives me the idea. Ribbons near the top, some kind of like decoration or like additional thing. This is going to be like the first pass. The second pass is going to be like much more consistent thematically. Drawing random ass sigils, and then we are going to mirror these in the floor here. I remember somebody like once posted a tutorial about like how to make like easy symbols and sigils, and that you could just like take a word, remove the curves, and then use something with those lines. I don't know. It's been a long time since I read it. I think I made like one symbol based on that tutorial and never looked back. All right, how's this looking? Missing some details. Okay, so hand. Oh yeah, speaking of bird shenanigans, I read apparently that there was this really like okay, I don't remember which place it was in the US, but there was this apparently infamously bad-tempered goose named Billy Swan. Are geese and swan, are they the same thing? I feel like they're the same thing. I feel like I've had this conversation before. I feel like I've had the conversation of whether or not geese and swans are the same thing before. In any case, there was this famously bad-tempered for a goose. Like, you know, geese are not well-tempered on a good day. This thing was infamous because it was just that much of an asshole, even on good days. So there was this swan called a Billy Swan. Birds are all the same sorts, flying type Pokemon. This is true. Whenever I think about flying type Pokemon, I can't help but think of that one awkward zombie comic that it was like, have you ever tried to punch a bird? And to explain why type matchups don't work in terms of like fighting flying. That comic is living rent free in my brain forever. Hmm. I feel like this would work better if it was slightly zoomed out. Martial artists cannot handle birds while training. Exactly. Do you ever wonder why that dude from Fate Stay Night had to make the swallow reversal? It's precisely because he feared the power of the bird. He could not comprehend it, and in the end, it destroyed him. Let this be a lesson to you. I mean, hell, I'm a martial artist, and birds pick on me all the time. They try to eat the rice on top of my head. They think it's for them, but no, it's mine. I can't go near a public park without being accosted by pigeons and all manners of flying beasts. Yeah, you put up a Shotokan karate master against a cassowary, and you will see that Shotokan karate master get his ass handed to him. This is known. This is also believed to be the reason why calling another Ryu starts nervously sweating every time he enters a park. Yeah, like I don't know. Blanca shows him like this cool bird he found that started like living on his shoulder, and Ryu is just like, oh no. Like you can see him just like start pouring out cold sweat. Yeah. It was believed that this is where the insult "What are you, chicken?" came from. Originally, it was meant to be a term of admiration. You see, you know how like some words are compliments until they get used sarcastically so much that they become insults. You know, kind of like how calling someone a genius sarcastically has made it so that like if you call someone like a genius like that or like big brained, it means that they're actually rather small brained. Same thing. Calling somebody a chicken used to mean that you believed that they had reached the peak of martial arts and no longer had to fear the common dinner fowl. But you know, over time, people started using it sarcastically enough that it kind of looped back around in on itself. It was said that that one of the greatest swordsmen who ever lived, Miyamoto Musashi, ended up seeing a small sparrow on his deathbed, and the shock of it ended up ending him for good. There are many such cases. I love this. I love the art of short storytelling. I love being able to bullshit like this every time, sometimes without consequence. Okay. Oh yeah, that does remind me actually. In other bird related news, actually, apparently there was this one zoo in the UK, Lancashire. Yeah, the Lancashire Zoo, the Lancashire Blackpool Zoo, I think. Uh, Apparently, seagulls have started becoming something of a problem at the zoo. So, you know, seagulls that are not inside of an exhibit. Actually, they could be pretty problematic if they are inside of an exhibit too, given the trouble they can cause. In any case, the Lancashire Blackpool Zoo has actually started hiring people to walk around in giant inflatable eagle costumes to scare off the seagulls. Whether it's because they're dressed like eagles or because they're wearing giant inflatable costumes is what scares off the seagulls was not specified. Yeah, that's one way to try and deal with them. One of the less violent ones, too, I suppose. You know, you could hunt them down, sure. You could like poison them, try to bait them with traps. But honestly, at the end of the day, just chasing them away works pretty good. People have been doing that with scarecrows for years, and well, it's worked pretty well. I do wonder if there's a good way to make this even more. Because I wanted this to have like that Miss Frizzle vibe, right? I do wonder if there's a way to enhance that. I do think like the patterns on the clothes will be very important. Hmm. The curly hair also helped a little bit, I think. That being said, it is surprising to me that the people in the UK have sung "The Fear of Seagulls" because I thought that was like an exclusively Australian thing. Don't get me wrong; the little buggers are pretty aggressive over here too, and we're not even in the European continent. But they're not at the point where it's like we need to hire like crisis actors to step in and pretend to be eagles to fool these maritime birds. Oh yeah. Speaking of unique jobs, I've learned recently that there's this one firm that's been starting to do in vitro fertilization. Their ultimate goal is to be able to automate in vitro fertilization. So, as a quick reminder, if you haven't heard of the term before, in vitro fertilization is when an egg is fertilized without without banging. I'm just gonna rip off the band-aid. It's how to make. It's making a baby without making a baby. Yeah, auto babies. The thing is, though, the technology isn't quite there yet, so they still haven't fully automated it. But the way that they've approached this is potentially even funnier. So instead of having like automated um, fertilization machines or whatever, what they have is that they have this dude who essentially guides the robot. And I want you to take three guesses as to what tool he uses to guide them, because I guarantee you, none of the things you guess are going to be a PS5 controller. Because that's apparently what he uses. He uses a PS5 controller to guide the robot. I cannot help but wonder if that's going to lead to some kind of Truman Show type situation where, like, Sony tries to claim sponsorship of that baby's life. The stick isn't even that good. Yeah, no. Apparently, he's been using a a PS5 controller. Motherfucker out here using a dual shock. Apparently, it did work though. Like the operation was conducted successfully, which I think is a big win. People are always like, "Oh, 8 billion people on Earth, 8 billion people on Earth," but like I feel like with the way things are going, the more people that are born, the better. I say we try to reach 9 billion and see what happens. I want to see what happens when we hit 9 billion. It's gonna get kind of crowded, but that'll be fine. We'll deal with it when the time comes. We'll have colonized the moon by then. God willing, God willing. We'll have. I mean, ideally, when we colonize the moon, there's not going to be some kind of like weird moon beastie up there. Hopefully, we won't have to. I'm almost 90% sure that's what happened in Bloodborne. That they went to, British people went to the moon and found like some kind of moon beast, and then that kind of had some repercussions for Earth. Yeah, the moon beast. Yeah, the beast on the beast of the moon. Okay, I think I've worked on this sketch long enough. I think it's time to. Hmm. I kind of want to do something, right? I want to try and do a second pass of this sketch. This is something that I've been doing more recently. Is that yeah, the moon presence. I've been trying to increase like the sharpness of the angles that I have, so to make it more dynamic. So I kind of want to see if I can do that for this one. They have proven plants can be grown on the moon soil, and there is water in the form of ice underneath the moon's surface. Oh, word? I didn't know about the ice yet. I actually didn't know about the moon soil either. That's dope. Yeah. I don't know. My personal utopian technology that I'm hoping to see within my lifetime is honestly powerful sodium ion batteries. So you guys might have heard of lithium ion batteries, which is what currently powers your phone. Very, very likely powers your phone. Sodium ion means that essentially they use like sodium, salt particles, pretty sure, to fulfill the role of lithium. So as you can imagine, it's not nearly as powerful as lithium, but it is workable. I know there's also, I think there might be potassium ion batteries as well. Don't quote me on that though. So I'm hoping to see that sodium ion batteries overtake the world, hopefully within my lifetime, because lithium, we've all seen those like lithium batteries that have like blown up to the size of small cushions. Sodium is going to be a lot less dangerous. So I'm hoping that we have some kind of breakthrough in that at some point. Colonizing the moon also sounds good. Hmm. I mean, nothing's saying that we can't do both, though. It's not like one is mutually exclusive to the other. Hmm. The only issue is if the moon is big enough to hold an atmosphere for terraforming, or if we'll have to build contained domed colonies. Oh, like the big Epcot balls, huh? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the novelty of the Epcot ball lifestyle would wear off after, scant months. At first it's like, you live in an Epcot ball and life is great. But then it's like 6 months later, you've had to like Windex these fucking Epcot balls for the 80th time, perhaps this month, and you're starting to realize the downsides of living in a not only proverbial but literal glass house. Or I don't know. I don't think it'll just be glass. Like it's probably going to be some kind of like fancy Pyrex thing if we do end up using like the Epcot ball solution. The Epcot ball solution sounds like the name for some kind of synthwave band. Also, it's just fun to say. Epcot ball. I've never even seen one of those things in real life. I've heard of them. I know that that's the name that they generally have, for such structures, but I've never seen one of those. It is just a very fun word to say. If it's dome colonies, it'd have to have some kind of plastic or alloy that can withstand the meteors that hit the moon constantly. Oh, right, the meteors. I can't believe I forgot about the meteors. How could I? God, then you'd be really fucked if it's made out of glass. They say that you shouldn't throw stones in glass houses, but at least they're not being actively chucked at you from the very heavens themselves. Yeah, theoretical moon life. Yeah. Hmm, let's see. I feel like the hat's a little too high on her head. Tilt it up a little bit. There we go. Yeah. And another set of news. I have learned that apparently do love that hat. It is a nice hat. I do like it. Yeah. I've been reading a little bit about like some day. So when the pandemic first hit, right? Everybody was hopping on Zoom. Everybody was, classes, meetings, work stuff, everything that you could think of. Hell, I had a family gathering on Zoom for New Year's 2020, and well, New Year's 2021. I don't know. When we say like New Year's, do we refer? Is it like Madden where like they refer to like the next year, or is it like wait no? I I remember being super confused by like sports game names, like sports video game names in my youth because I never think I've seen a single one that's like in chronological order. Like Madden like FIFA 06 came out in like 2005 or something. I don't. Is that how that works? I feel like that might have just been one of those things where I like somebody told me that and I just like took it for granted as a child. New Year's is generally referred to as the 31st plus the first. I see. So I'm guessing it would still be the old year if that's the case. Technically, yes, but also no. I feel like I should have more dangly things from on this hat. Like maybe there's going to be a little like clock as well. Yeah, like that. Anyway, right back to the topic. Somebody did some research on different Zoom conversations where they basically, I think this was during the pandemic. They took two people, had them talk for 30 minutes, and they had to rate each other on how engaging they were. And what was discovered is that the people who were more likely to grab attention were the people who. Oh, that's interesting. So it's almost like a ruffled thing up here. Gonna co-opt that. The people who manage to hold the attention of the listener very well are people who talked a little bit faster than usual. They varied their volume apparently, and they had like this intenseness. They were very emotional when they spoke. I'm gonna change it from a cravat to. Hmm. Does Frizzle wear any neckwear? No. Okay. So maybe from cravat to some kind of. I don't know. The cravat is working pretty well. I'm gonna add some like random little loops up here. That's a good idea, actually. Like now that we have these things hanging from the hat, I feel like we could introduce those little loops into wherever they have those ropes. I need to be careful though, or else it'll end up looking like that symbol from Berserk. I can even do it with the glasses. Actually, hang on. There's a big brain idea. Yeah, the Kurtz brand. Yeah. God, I remember reading Berserk shortly after, the original author passed away. And because like I consumed most of it in like the span of like 2.5 weeks. I think like I didn't get it like as deeply as people who like followed it for like years and years, but I definitely like got kind of the experience in a very intense dose. I still think some of the best character design that happened there was both like, obviously during the Golden Age arc, but I think during the arc where they had like that fucked up dude who kept throwing himself on the floor constantly. I think that guy had some of my second favorite designs. Favorite manga, you can see how much it inspired later culture. Rough read, yeah, no, like Berserk is definitely one of those things where like looking at the art is valuable. Reading it is definitely like a per person case kind of thing. Like I like Berserk because it had like a lot of interesting themes, and I wasn't turned off that much by like the violence and everything because a lot of it felt like it had like this cohesion to it. I can't really describe it, but yeah, definitely you can see how it inspired a lot of culture. Like people keep showing how like the Dark Knight archetype, right? That was inspired like by the cursed armor, the massive sword that Guts had. You can see that. You can see that the imprint that had, the influence that had in a lot of other works. What was that dude? What did that dude look like? I remember he had like a very square head. Uh, Mosgus, that's a guy. Let's see. Fun fact: the first initial delay to its release was caused by the author transitioning from traditional to digital. Nearly all the late '90s, early 2000s chapters were made in MS Paint Pixel by Pixel. Sheesh. Oh yeah, here's a good one. This guy, I think, had one of my favorite designs among like all the characters, just because he just looks so fucking busted. But yeah, no, I remember somebody actually showed like how Kentaro Miura ended up doing some of this stuff pixel by pixel, and it was really intense. Like you could see the individual like strokes on some of the trees, the dithering and everything. I like looking at like really old, like even if it's like some kind of like really crappy VN or something. I like looking at really old computer graphics for like visual novels and everything because I feel like you can see the kind of attention to detail that they had to have back then because it's not like these days where you have like a sprite and that has like a bunch of functionalities to make it more like normal digital art. You had to dither everything more or less by hand, I imagine. I mean, I don't know how easy it was to make pixel art back in the heyday. I can't imagine it's any easier than it is now. Otherwise we'd still be making pixel art that way. Mosgus. I typed that too quick. Yeah, this dude. God, he's so freaky looking. That's what I guess. That's what being on that hit and smack yourself against the ground 90 times a day grind set gets you. Moscus' possible form was pretty cool. Just a weird armadillo thing with extra arms. Yeah, that I think it flew as well, if I remember correctly. Yeah, this thing. God, the cross hatching is just insane. Man. This might have been before the switch to digital, but unsure. He just kept his art so consistent. That's true. You did see some differences like later on, I feel like compared to the beginning, but like it did change, but it does feel like very consistent. Like to the extent that when I was looking through it, you know, when I was like looking through it in my binge read, I barely noticed the change. It was very subtle. But yeah, in the later chapters, you can definitely see how it was like a little bit different. Like I feel like it's a little bit less um, dark, for a better word. It has like less black point. I don't know. That's how I remember it being. I don't, I feel like I haven't visited the series since a long time ago, so it might have been slightly different. It might have been slightly darker. In fact, this is what happens when you binge read a series. Like you get like the full brain blast of it, but you don't catch the details so good. Okay, I'm going to lower the opacity. Is that what's going to do? Berserk does get lighter later on, since it's just about Guts healing and learning to move on from his trauma. That is true. All right. Hmm. We had the Met Gala very recently. I'm surprised that nobody's tried to do like a Berserk inspired outfit just yet. Like not that I've seen. I feel like there was somebody who like had like a knight inspired outfit, but we haven't had like a Guts cosplayer on the red carpet just yet. I don't know. I like some of the outfits recently. Somebody just shows up in the Berserker armor. Yeah. Hmm. I don't know. Now I feel like the apple is a little bit too out of place. So what we can have instead is maybe a couple more of these like sigils here. Like they remind me a little bit of those things that you use to thread a needle, or like sunglasses or something. I don't know. I feel like people showing up in like Berserk gear will create some kind of anime cosplay arms race at the Met Gala, which would be quite spectacular for the first few years. But over time, like eventually somebody's going to show up being able to do an actual Kamehameha with visual effects and everything, and then the fun is just going to be ruined for everyone. Goku shows up. Goku shows up for a premiere. Yeah, they didn't just like get a dude dressed like Goku. They just got Goku. Goku, my friend Goku. Yeah, Key Mastery learned to flex. Yeah. Somebody's gonna be like, wait, so you learned like he's just gonna open up his own dojo later, and he's gonna be like, Master, you've created such a fine control over the life force of and the beating heart of the planet. What inspired you to take this journey originally? And he like remembers how he used to like do like a lighter trick or something without actually having a lighter. And he's like, uh, don't worry about it. There was this one Tumblr post which said that like the funniest magic system to be that could be real is probably going to be like, like martial arts mysticism. So like if like imagine if some dude from like a strip mall dojo managed to teach you how to like shoot ki blasts. I don't know. I feel like the world's deadliest martial art is probably contained somewhere in like an unmarked 80s VHS tape that has just like one dude who like home recorded it and is showing off his like six stunts, and it's been lost to the ages. You know, he Sensei Greg recorded all these different like techniques that could, I don't know, shut down a military unit or something by with a single man, and unfortunately, they just did not get the ratings needed to actually publish a direct to video. I mean, Bruce Lee invented the 1 inch punch. We're not too far off from someone learning at home firebending by setting themselves on fire. Hmm. You do have a point. Okay, I've got. Hmm. I do have to wonder, right? If you manage to firebend in real life, it would be cool as hell, right? Would you actually get in trouble for it? Right? Because if it's just a one off instance, right, that only you can learn. I know that in the Avatar universe, right, not everybody is born with the ability to bend. Like I think, like for example, Sokka just is not capable of learning how to bend, or I don't know. What is that true? Like, was bending just like a thing that everybody could learn, or was it something that like you need to have like a specific talent for? Because I know that like Aang is the only one, and technically Korra, but I didn't watch Legend of Korra. Um, Never really had the opportunity. The first one, you know, the last Airbender aired when I was a kid, so I managed to watch little bits and pieces of it then. I only really watched it later on in full. I'm fairly sure it's completely random besides the Avatar cycle. Yeah, okay. Right, so I think if it does work like in the Atla universe, and it is just like a random one-off dude who just has a freak ability, you know, I don't think they would like form an entire X-Men unit to, take you out. If it's just like one dude who is somewhat capable of controlling fire, like unless he lucks out and gets in the middle of that one eclipse that like let Ozai fucking jetpack fly around the world, he's still just one dude with a very limited capacity for firebending. He would be the first technically, so he would also be kind of working from scratch in terms of like practice and everything. I mean, you might have to deal with like being taken in for testing or something. Yeah, that's true. If nothing else, you could probably make a few appearances at like different cons and everything. You would be a shoo-in for like the next Prince Zuko. Yeah, I don't think you'd be hunted down. I mean, like maybe some dude would get it in his head to hunt you down, but that would be like a Frankenstein mob with pitchforks type situation, and you could probably like avoid that scenario by being low key about your life. In Korra, they explained bending does come from the spirit world, but even when the physical and spirit world got merged, it was still random, just more bending. Oh hell! Hey, Jank, how you doing? Thank you for your hard work. I'm Pavs, a rising VTuber and an artist, and we're doing some line art on this illustration that I've been working on. How you been? You were playing more Battle Network, right? How's that going? The bifocal raid. Correct. I hate PowerPoint. God. Yeah, who does PowerPoint think they are? You know, with their stupid little, you know, effects from slide to slide. They think they're hot shit or something just because they can animate a dog gif moving from left to right. I can do that too. I can see why people map for this game. Good lord. Yeesh. Power plant. See, you can tell that I'm office brain because I read that as PowerPoint, not power plant. God. I mean, PowerPoints can also kick your ass a little bit. I feel like nobody's above getting their ass handed to them by a particularly good PowerPoint presentation. Least of all myself. 50-50, I forgot about. Yeah. You missed a vowel, I missed a consonant. That makes us even. Also, off as fuck it today. It's been raining. Eee. I mean, rain can be nice, I think. Rain brings smiling flowers. That's definitely not a saying. That's absolutely not a thing that people say. Rain brings smiling flowers. What the fuck am I, a genie? But I guess it's the spirit of the sentence that counts. Hmm. Okay, move this around like this. Yeah, I know rain isn't everybody's favorite weather type. I enjoy it personally because I hardly leave the house to begin with. You know, I'm definitely something of a homebody, so I like it when it rains because it feels like you know it feels like a different type of cool, right? Like around here, it gets very cold, but it doesn't get like. But like with rain, rain cold is different from like just like cold cold. That might not make sense to anyone else, but I know it in my heart to be true. Okay, this needs to be like way, way smooshed in. Rain cold is a new concept to me because where I grew up, rain was always warm and muggy. Oh, you know, that is true. Weirdly enough, around here as well, it does get warmer when it rains. Like the days when it rains, it's actually some of the warmer days. I don't remember why. I do think that it's because of the fact that like the water is hitting the earth. So because there's more water there's more water in the air, it becomes easier for the ground to like I don't know, it's got something to do, I'm sure, with heat retention, heat capacity. That's a word. Heat capacity. But you couldn't get me to tell you how with a gun to my head. I know, I'd probably bullshit a solution if you literally held a gun to my head. I'd find a way out of that situation. I would merely handle it. Simply handle the issue. Easy, exactly. The Path school of problem solving has one step, and it is handle the problem. How should you handle it? Not well. You should handle it. I feel like you're immune to bullets, considering made of rice steel. Yeah, they just kind of like. It's a lot like one of those like ballistic gelatin things. Like they go right through me. They ruin my clothes, but those are easy enough to replace. I'm not so much immune to bullets, so much as they just don't stick around very long. In retrospect, it would have been cool if I'd have been made out of like rice acting as like nanomachines or something. Nanomachines, son. Or I guess it'd be like nano rice machines, son. Something like that. It would have been cool if I'd have been made out of like intelligent rice, but unfortunately I'm just a normal regular dope. I am fortunately invulnerable to mean words and bad actions because I have like cognitive behavioral training and such. So sticks and stones may break my bones, but I don't know. Unless the word is fire at will, they can't hurt me. Let's see. What kind of thing would be like uniquely suited to harming me? I feel like in terms of like lore wise, it would be anything that could like kill the sun. See, I'm like the opposite. Oh, do tell. You are a robot, so I guess like normal bullets wouldn't be too much of a threat to you. Like they would just bounce off, huh? Literally made out of steel yarn. Ooh. If you're made out of steel yarn, then it's no wonder your community is so tight knit. But yeah, I guess like if you're made out of steel yarn, the projectiles would just kind of like fly through. I meant that words get under my skin, but yes, correct, right, correct, right, robot. Totally for real. I see. I have RPG mechanics. I have a threshold of HP. Like theoretically, anything could hurt me, but also not kill me as long as the bar doesn't drop to zero. Yeah, exactly. Some a wise Sun Tzu once said that the only hit point that matters is the last one. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. Famous saying. So true, Tsumpi. Jank, that one was gold. Tsumpi. I'm gonna need to. You should write that one down. That's real good. Oh my goodness. That made me laugh a lot. Thank you for that. New nickname for my friend, Sun Tzu. Me and the girls when we're practicing war. Yeah, it's just partying up in the afterlife. You got Sun Tzu, Zhuge Liang, all those like Cao Cao, all the Chinese, all the famous Three Kingdoms, and otherwise Chinese generals, all like kicking their legs up and laughing, and they're just like so true, Sumzi. I really need to learn more about the romance of the Three Kingdoms. I feel like my niche is starting to become like ancient China. or at least like ancient Chinese literature. Granted, I'm still definitely green in that respect, but I feel like I should try to make some kind of historical thing my angle. People calling a magnifying glass a loop have always have always kind of confused me because I feel like it's wrong because like in Spanish the word for magnifying glass is lupa. So it feels a little weird whenever some dude is like, "Oh yes, I shall take a look using the loop." I'm like, "That's not your word." Eng- no English speakers allowed for this one. I guess technically it's French, right? Loop is technically a French word. It did throw me off my game the first time I heard it. I will say that magnet rolls like in terms of comparing like Spanish words to English words, iman does not roll off the tongue as easily as magnet. I much prefer the word magnet to iman. You know, I didn't have to use a whole lot of Spanish growing up because like we lived in like English speaking communities for the most part, and because I had obviously at home we spoke Spanish, right? But my parents knew enough English so that I could like switch between both of them, and my Spanish vocab suffered a bit because of that. So I think like one of the things that clued me into this when I was young is when I started calling magnets magnetos instead of imanes. I remember doing that at some point, or like if I try to think about the word like iman, I like almost before that I think of like magneto, like I'm cussing out the X-Men villain. I don't know. I cuss a lot, but I've never cussed someone out. I don't. I haven't had that kind of experience just yet. That's not a level at which my cussing has yet adjusted. That's not what I. Okay, I that thickened it, so I needed to narrow down. Okay, this is the minute hand. This would be the hour hand, and this would be the second hand. Yeah, this one's gonna have some very simplistic coloring, I think. The lines are probably a little thicker than they should be too. Well, I'll make it work. I could always like thin them out a little bit. Hang on. Now, see, that's too much. Yeah, I think that'll do it. Oh yeah, I've been reading about this like Okay, so here's a question for you. Have you ever had this experience where you've been eating a bag of chips and like you get to the bottom of the bag and then you have to like upturn the bag, to kind of like get at all the like salty goodness and like the rest of the little chip bits at the bottom of the bag. There's like one company that apparently realized that there can be better solutions to this, and apparently they've started manufacturing their bags with like little twist off bottom corners, right? So you've got the big opening at the top, but then you can also twist the corner a little bit to open it that way, and that's for when you've kind of finished it all and you can get it through there. Yeah, exactly. Innovation. I don't remember where I saw it. I remember that one of my friends taught me how to eat one of those like cornetto ice creams by eating the bottom first and then just like suctioning out the rest of the ice cream through the cone. I feel like that has fundamentally the same principles. Possibly. Maybe not. They feel like the same thing to me, though. Hmm. I do wonder what the coolest packaging I've ever seen on food is. The coolest packaging that I've seen is probably like the natural kind, like artichokes or perhaps mussels or something. One of those foods where you need to like pry it open like crab or something before you can actually get at the feast inside, at the feast within. I don't know. I like crab, but it's a little bit of a 50-50 for me because my stomach gets very easily upset when it ingests like shellfish. So it's a little bit of a gamble. I like crab, but I'm every single time I indulge, I'm like, is it worth it? Is this worth the risk? This must be how like lactose intolerant people feel. Yeah, this shellfish curse. I don't know. Seafood has had a long grudge against my family. I heard my people almost went out eating a fish, and the bone got stuck in his throat, and he almost choked. I grew up on fish, so all sea-based foodstuffs cannot harm me. Based. Yeah, no, I'm the opposite. I like marine life seems to have a grudge against my family when consumed. I do wonder if this means they would instead rather be my friends than my food. I don't know. I feel like if something hates you so much that they won't even let you eat them when they die. I feel like that's something of a deep running grudge. I feel like that's kind of a sign, a food curse, otherwise known as an allergy. Yeah, using Chuni speak for some of your medical conditions can be an endless source of fun. Saying that you're beloathed by all creatures of the ocean, large and small, is a lot more interesting than saying I have a shellfish allergy. By the armored sentinels of the sea. Saying something like that makes you sound a lot funnier than just saying I have a shellfish allergy. Yeah, no. God decided I'm crappy enough without having access to shellfish for diet. I don't know. I wouldn't call myself crappy necessarily. I'm cantankerous, maybe. I can definitely be a little. Hmm. Mother guy has tainted my line. Allergic to apples. Yeah. What else? What else we got? Uh, what would be a good one for like a peanut allergy? Hmm. Being unable to poison me using their natural defenses. One of the humanity's most beloved trees saw it fit to instead to attack me another way. I think peanuts are one of those things that have like a real. I might be thinking of cashews, but I think peanuts are one of those things that have like really toxic outer skins. Like, do, do peanuts have like a toxic part? I might be thinking of like not macadamia nuts of cashews. I know cashews have like some kind of like weird toxic part. Although to be fair, unless it's I don't know. I've always known that like a nut allergy can be like for a specific type of nut. So like, tree nuts can be a thing that you're allergic to. So which is why like things like fancy nut butters can actually be used. God, imagine being allergic to apples though. I could never. I love apple pie too much. I hope this doesn't strike me for my hubris. No, hang on. This finger's too straight. It's not deadly, but it makes my mouth numb and my lips burn/swell. Oof. Yeah, that's rough. Still, it's good that it's not deadly at least. It sucks, but it's always better for something to not be deadly when it could be. Theoretically, if I was forced to eat at gunpoint at an apple pie eating contest, I could. But you shouldn't. Yeah, you could, but you shouldn't. But you could. Oh god, that finger looks so fucked up. This one needs to be longer. There we go. I I will not fear flipping the canvas, but I will also not do it. I've started to think, right? I think one of the things that I could try doing is I could try making whips because I feel like I always either make whips off stream or on stream or I make like really short drawings. Listen, sometimes a wizard can just have some kind of messed up fingers. It happens. This is true. Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing that wizards and martial artists have in common. They can have fucked up fingers. Yeah, dangers of magic. Like if you like I don't know if I've shown you guys the hands of like a dude who practices like Okinawan karate because like those dudes still have like those dudes basically train by beating on wooden posts covered in rope, and that does some things to your hand after some time. It makes it very sturdy, but it also does some things. There are there are many benefits to being a martial artist, but having nice looking hands is not one of them. I mean, that's not necessarily true. I bet there's at least a couple of people running out there who do MMA and also double nighttime as like hand models. I do wonder if you know how like there's this like very archetypal um character in like movies about theater and all that, where it's like this old actress or actor who like is still in love with their past. Like they still believe themselves. They have like a lot very inflated ego because of, like some fame they had when they were young, and like you can see that they're still very much caught up in that. I do wonder if that happens for like people who are like hand models. I do wonder if that you know I think like for some models, like I've seen characters who have that thing, but I do wonder if that can happen for like hand models. I don't know. I feel like hand modelists are very humble. I feel like they're very humble people. Hand models have to lotion 10 times a day. Oh, yeah. No, that's what keeps them humble. Facts I made up on the spot. No, but like you say you made that up, but I feel like that's also kind of unless your hands are just like naturally self moisturizing. If you want to keep them looking nice, you do have to keep them well hydrated. So no, you would have to take very good care of your hands. Yeah, I've never really like looked down on people who you know we all have like this idea of like a person who has like an 80 step skincare routine, Patrick Bateman style. But I've always thought that that's kind of like admirable, right? Like that's time you're putting in to make yourself like look as good as you want to look. So I think like I could like being a dude who didn't really take care of his appearance until very late in his life, I feel like I could take a page or two from their book. Yeah, nothing wrong with taking care of yourself every now and again. Additionally, my hands are very rough themselves, so I feel like I should also try out the 10 times a day moisturization routine. Yeah, I should try to lotion more just to help. Yeah, it's especially bad if in my case, it's rather egregious because of the fact that I just have dry skin in general. I am not a very slippery young man. I am decidedly unlike an eel in that regard. Another reason for all marine life to scorn me, I suppose. Yeah, I can just imagine like a crab just like bitching at me from while I'm at the beach, like you don't got a shell, you don't got a claw, you don't even got grease on you like the eels do. What good are yous? Dried rice, precisely. That's true. I guess it would be a problem if I started to get moldy, so I should stick to like fat-based moisturizers. Although that I guess that could mean that eventually I turn into sake. If the right mold grew on me. Hmm. I don't know. It would feel wrong turning myself into sake. I feel like that's almost like I have a variant model later on for fried rice. Yeah, that's gonna be me at like hmm. There's no good equivalent because like catching rays, right? I would have said like that's like my beach model, but the thing is, right? I if I was fried, like I guess rather than having a bag for a head, I would need to have some kind of wok or other like metallic material. Perhaps a plate if it's out of the pan and into the kitchen and onto the dinner table. Hmm. An interesting conundrum. Or I guess I could just keep it in the bag and keep the bag all gross. Like one of those like like when you see that a bag from like a takeout place is like covered in grease spots and you just know that it's gonna be like real good. I guess it could be kind of like that. Classic rice maneuver, putting it back in the bag after cooking it. Yeah, no, that feels like one of those like I feel like that's one of those things where you see like in a YouTube thumbnail for life hacks, and then it just like never comes up. This young man in the city of Great Harbor managed to figure out a way to preserve rice for over 80 days after cooking it. Click here to find out more. And you just see that it's like me doing a double thumbs up with like my bag with so much grease on it that it's transparent. All gross and stuff. There we go. Oh, I missed part of the leg here. Yeah, I think we're done with the line art in this case. Let's hurry up and get to the coloring stage. So my idea is I do have like a wooden texture thing. Let's see. Image material. Hang on. All materials. And I'm just going to look up wood. Ah. This is technically wooden wall. But it'll do. Let's see. Let's see if I've still got my technique with this kind of thing. Let's see. Scale rotate, free transform. Yeah, okay, this'll do. Okay, rasterize that. Add some kind of like smoke behind her. Would be a good one for that. I feel like that, and that'll be in like the cross hatching somewhere. Okay, mesh transform. Or actually, we could probably use the liquefy tool for this one. Oh god, it always freaks me out a little bit when the computer chugs a little bit when I'm doing this. I should save. Can't ever be too careful. Alright, then fill up the rest of this. Every time my laptop freezes when I'm doing art, I whisper, if you crash, I'll install a virus on you. And it works. If you, well, I guess if you can solve the problem with violence, you ought to solve it right away, right? It's the prudent thing to do. I don't know. I feel like this computer and I have like that, have the kind of like bond between like a horse and like a teenager in like a mid 2000s movie, you know? Like we understand each other. I do wonder what kind of color scheme I should go for this grandma. I have an image of like crayons being red, so I'm going to make it predominantly red. Alright, where is the color coming in from? Oh wait, no, okay, so let's make the hat red. Man, working with anti-alias lines always pissed me off a little bit. But I've kind of fallen... I feel like it's a good habit to get into working in this kind of style. It has a lot of benefits that I've only realized after I've worked on the comic for a while. Mainly the fact that everything just looks smoother. Like, I look back on some of my art when I was still using, like, hang on. No, that doesn't look like a shadow. Maybe this? No, it's not dark enough. Yeah, that works. Like, if I look back at my old artwork and, oops, and see the colors that I used, it just looks, not even the colors, the, what do you call it, the line work that I did, it just doesn't look as good with the rougher line art. Well, I'm sure that if I go on long enough, I'll eventually figure out like a good balance between them. There we go, red coveralls. I do wonder what it is exactly that I've cooked with this fashion sense here. Like, I've cooked, but I don't know if anybody wants to eat. I've cooked, but I don't know if it's edible. I think it works for our purposes, though. That's good enough. I mean, I'm here for whatever's going on here. Thank you. Yeah. Listen, if it doesn't poison you, it's food. This is fine. If it doesn't poison you when you eat it, it's food. This is known. Strictly speaking, that is exactly how being edible works, I think. I don't know. I don't know how strict the standards for the definition of edible is, because like something can be edible and not be very tasty. I don't know. I feel like to the extent that you don't suffer ill effects from eating it, it's edible. Yeah. Then again, if we're going by that distinction, then I don't think you could call Burger King edible. Hey yo. Because brother, let me tell you, that's got some negative effects. Everything is edible if your jaw bite strength is enough. That's true as well. Well, no. Hang on. There is a difference between eating and chewing. You can chew something and then spit it out, and there's a difference between eating something, as in like, no, they're completely different ball games. Like chewing and eating are completely separate. Jaw strength does not dictate. Jaw strength dictates what you can chew, but it doesn't dictate what you can eat. I will stand on this hill. All right. Call me a coward if you will, but I feel like if you say that like whatever you can chew, you can digest. Well, honestly, if you can, that's more power to you. Honestly, I think if you have that capacity, you've already surpassed human limits. Hmm. Yeah. One dude unlocks the next stage of human evolution, having like alligator-esque jaw strength, and it's just because he was a little bit lazy and needed to get a bite to eat. Getting a bite to eat is a pathway to many abilities, some of which are considered unnatural. Let's see. Then over here, what color? I think our eyes should also be red. I suppose if can your stomach digest this should be factored in as well. That's true. Yeah, I feel that way, right? Because I mean, there is that story of a dude who ended up eating like an entire motorcycle or something, right? Like that's a dude that exists. I feel like that's a dude that exists at least. Yeah, if that guy is technically fine, then I guess you could say that a motorcycle is. I mean, no. Then I doubt he digested any of the components. I'm pretty sure most of them came out as is. If you catch my drift. Yeah, there was that French dude as well, Bon Bon Terrer, who, or simply known as Terrer, who definitely didn't do anything weird at a hospital that one time. Trust. Human stomach acid is apparently the same pH level as battery acid. Huh. Does that mean that if you threw a human stomach into the water, it would do something funny? I've never understood that joke. What does happen? I don't know what happens when you throw a car battery into the ocean. I assume that it explodes, though this might be a mistaken assumption on my part. Hmm. Okay, it looks like we're using yellow as a secondary color for this. So that would mean a nice kind of like tan for the sleeves would be nice. Okay, grab this, expand by 1 pixel. Same pH as battery acid. The other day I started looking up like what like the most scale of hardness kind of like was relative to, right? Like for example, your fingernail is apparently only like slightly less hard than gold, which means that somebody with a very determined fingernail would be able to scratch gold with their hand. I assume? I don't know. I guess it depends. I guess if you're built different, you could probably scratch gold with your bare nail. I know there is that bit of like a vendor chewing on a bit of gold, trying to bend it with his teeth to see if it's the real deal. I feel like in the era where that would have been effective, trying to test your teeth against metal would have been like the literal stupidest thing you could have done given the dire situation of dentistry. It kills everything around it on account of, the electricity and acid exploding. Huh, that makes sense. I was about to recommend its use for dynamite fishing, but you have to. The whole point of dynamite fishing is that you eat the fish afterwards, and I imagine that while the electricity might not make much of a difference, the acid might. I don't know. Personally, I feel like strong car battery acid brings a nice little zest to most meals that you just can't replicate without particularly strong balsamic vinegar. So in my experience, cooking with you've heard of cooking with gas. Now get ready for cooking with car battery. Hmm. Come to think of it, you probably could cook with a car battery. You know, just hook it up to whatever you're cooking. It wouldn't be impossible. Although it would be very ill-advised, I imagine. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna go in for some aggressive same thing shading. Same thing. Hang on. If I had how much do I need to increase the tolerance or play around with it so that it fully submerges this thing? Our bodies were made to survive, not be broken at the very extreme limits. Like a human thigh bone is as strong as steel, and why they were used as weapons by early cavemen. Huh. I've heard of having killer thighs, but that sounds ridiculous. No, I'm kidding. That doesn't make sense though. Human bodies are pretty weird. It's tough to say whether or not something is possible. And hell, even if it isn't possible by most people, that doesn't mean that nobody can do it. Nature wild, for sure. I used to love watching nature documentaries as a kid. I started losing patience for them a little bit as an adult. But I feel like that was like a very formative experience, being like the dude who loved nature documentaries. The one that I will always remember for as long as I live is definitely my parents got like the full DVD collection of like Planet Earth when I was young, and we used to watch them sometimes, right? And the one we would that I would remember very frequently was the one for bears, because there was one scene where like the narrator was explaining like how like the kind of different mischief that the bear cubs get up to, and it cuts this scene of like one of the bear cubs climbing up really really high on a tree, and you know, David Attenborough in his normal lovely voice is like, of course, unfortunately some of them do bite off more than they can chew, and like you can see that the baby bear and like the cub got onto like a very thin branch, and the branch snapped and the cub was like "Rah!" and it cut later to it later. The cub was fine, thankfully, but like it was such a funny like comedic timing. I'm glad the cub was fine though. I feel like I wouldn't have, I feel like I would have been much disturbed if like they hadn't cut the cub later being fine. Hmm. No, this isn't working. It needs to be slightly more subtle than this. Even more subtle than that. How are we for time? We can probably finish this. Still, this is interesting. I'm still fairly new to working with anti-alias lines, but knowing that I can play around with tolerance settings on the bucket fill tool is going to be very helpful. I do know I am subscribed to a YouTube channel that publishes like older out of circulation documentaries. Yeah, I think they have like permission from the networks to air them, so it's all above the board. I unfortunately do not have the attention span to look at through some of them though. Like, I'll be like, huh, I could watch this like 3 hour documentary on like, I don't know, some really dangerous road out in the middle of nowhere, or I could watch this like 3 minute music video that I can like work to, and the music video beats my ass every time. Yeah, I've thought about being one of those dudes who like listens to TV shows while he works, but I also like I get too engrossed. I can either pay attention to the work or to the TV show, but not both, unfortunately. So maybe it's not that my attention span isn't big enough, but rather that it's too strong. What a unique problem to have. Let's see. Okay, like this. Oh, Moscas jump scare. My bad. I do wonder how you're supposed to pronounce his name. Like Musket? Muscus? Mosgoose? May it's like with a soft G. Moshus. There's got to be like some kind of visual pronunciation guide for this. I do think that did the 2016 anime cover Moscas? I remember everybody just made fun of that poor thing for its animation for its poor quality. But I don't remember what parts of it they covered because I hadn't read Berserk at that point. He's inspired after Italian Inquisitor, so say it with an Italian accent. Hey, Mosgoose! Hey, my cousin, Mosgoose! Hmm. No, that feels wrong. You know what? I'm just gonna pick whatever way I can to say it, and I'll let the good Lord provide. It's what he would have wanted. The 2016 anime did cover the Moscas arc. Oh, how fascinating! I would say that I'm interested in how they animated certain parts of it, but I think it went up all the way to Guts getting the Berserker armor. Oh, come to think of it, that would make for a pretty sick season ending. So I could see why they did that. Yeah, I was really sad that that weird like centaur apostle that followed Griffith around didn't get much screen time. I thought that dude's design was super cool. What's his face? That dude who has like a. Okay, hang on. I don't. Did we ever learn that dude's name? Hang on. Yeah, bow and arrow guy. They'd have to be like the big shots in Falconia, so I'll try to using that on the wiki. Oh, Locus. His name was Locus. Yeah, this greasy looking dude. I think he turned into this. Although I don't, was he an archer? I no, I think that looks more like a sphere. But yeah, take a look at this dude. I liked his design. I thought this was really cool. I'm gonna close some of these windows because they're fuck, that scared the shit out of me actually. Well, I know some characters got apostle forms that they've never been shown fighting at all. Yeah, I mean, I think he did fight some jobbers back in the day, but like I don't think he did much. Unfortunately, no. That's how it goes with serialized manga. Unfortunately, like you get these super cool designs, but they get very little screen time. Let's see. Apostles only show up to either help Griffith or get killed by Guts. Yeah, or and potentially help Griffith and then get killed by Guts, or get killed by Guts and then somehow retroactively have been shown to be helping Griffith all along. It sure is a mysterious cycle in which we live. Okay, I need to up the tolerance a little bit on this. Yeah. Being introduced to the term jobber is something that's been, being introduced to like wrestling terminology is something that's extremely useful to me because the thing is, I feel like a lot of manga, believe it or like, probably I feel like you would appreciate this, but like a lot of people don't seem to understand that like Japanese wrestling has influenced manga like a lot. Like in particular, I think like in particular, I feel like I see a lot of like professional wrestling influences in Dragon Ball, for example, where you know they have like the new dude like show that he can like defeat the Vegeta or something like and like oh shit, this dude can defeat Vegeta, that's a problem. So Vegeta or Yamcha or whoever gets the short end of the stick for the arc gets to be the jobber. Nearly every major manga artist was or is a wrestling fan. Hmm. Yeah, and so like learning that terminology helped me like parse a lot of like what was happening. Like, okay, it's no longer a matter of like, oh, this cool design got wasted. It's like, oh no, this dude needed a jobber, and unfortunately, cool design McCool Pants over here was the only dude for the job, which is unfortunate in some circumstances. And I feel like just like in real wrestling, there is a way to like job well, right? Like you make like there is a way to like effectively utilize your jobber, and when it comes to manga, I think that's the case because, like, in real life, it comes to like the acting skills of the performer, but in manga, the author can try to do something interesting with that. And I think one of the people who does this the best is probably like the One Piece dude because you can see, like, the One Piece. anime and manga have like so many different characters, and they all have like these unique backstories where like almost everybody out there has like some dude rooting for them because like they personally connected with that backstory. I don't know. I think that's an impressive skill in and of itself. Yeah, unfortunately, Eiichiro Oda will be chained to his desk for as long as One Piece keeps printing money, which is the rest of all foreseeable time. One Piece fans will say the Diaper Man from the Flamingo arc will have the saddest backstory in all of anime. That is true. I did remember seeing. I think I did see that at Super Eye Patch Wolf video, and you know what? Fair enough if he wants to say that that's the saddest one that he's seen because like or the one that hit him the hardest because everybody has things that hit them a little bit differently, right? But I think the fact that like there was a character who had like that amount of you know I do believe there is such a thing as like shallow depth, right? I do believe that there is like when, for example, like in a piece of media, they'll be like, oh no, he had like a really sad backstory, and now, all crimes of his are, you can't say bad stuff about him anymore, right? Like, like some villains will have that, right? And the writer will expect you to buy into it. But that's very difficult, and it's a very shallow kind of depth. And I think you can fall into that very easily, but in at least like I've never really like felt it like when I was reading One Piece. It's been a while since I've read One Piece. I started reading around like the fight with Don Crocodile or something. Like I think I dropped off during the Skypiea arc for sure. But I never felt like that degree of like shallowness, like that kind of like shallow depth that I mentioned from a lot of the characters, and I think that's kind of impressive. So, that's where I'll give One Piece credit. And again, like even though I've talked about like this thing of like shallow depth, right? I will straight up eat my words because I said literally not 5 minutes ago. What affects somebody one way might not affect everybody the same way. Like some dude will see the diaper man and they'll be like, "Oh my god, that's the saddest shit I've ever heard." Like if you cry every time, but like I'll be like torn up at somebody else's backstory, and somebody else will be like, "Yeah, I don't really see it." Oda likes to make 100 characters per arc and then never revisit them again except in between chapter art. Yeah. Yeah, to be perfectly fair to the dudes who who get moved by Diaper Man, like it is very much like a thing of like personal experience. The one thing that I think is universal though is that I think like if you ever like watch or read Sanji's backstory, you will always feel bad about wasting food. Straight up that shit changed me. like seeing like the initial backstory. I remember. I think that I've heard that Sanji's backstory gets fucking weird as hell. Like after some time, like I just remember that he was like on a ship as a cook as a child, and like then Seth took him in, and now apparently he's like some kind of weird human baby experiment? Question mark. I don't fucking know. Anyway, the original like backstory for Sanji was I read that and I was like, I'm never wasting another plate of food in my life ever again, even if it kills me. I feel like I'm very hesitant to call it as such, but I do feel like that's an almost universal experience. Unless you already had guilt about wasting food, in which case it's like yeah, no, that sucks. Yeah, he was originally a prince for a family of superhumans and was the only one who didn't have superpowers. And then he ran away and got stranded. R.I.P. I guess. You know how it is. You try to run away to the circus as a kid, and then you end up like on a ship on a ship on a ship as a cook. You know, you never know where life is going to take you. I should make nails. Oop, my bad. I've had like the reference picture for Hawk up here for so long that now when I make like a big color change like this, it actually shows up on that side, and I like my gaze kind of flits toward it very briefly. Okay, cool. Then I'll need to like make the actual drawing on the paper. So then that's going to be probably on a different layer. Okay, let me bump up the tolerance a little bit here. There we go. Now, what kind of design did I have on this before? I think it was like a bunch of concentric rings. It doesn't really matter since I can just kind of hang on. So she's holding the yellow and the red marker. Let's see. Then like that. Then grab this color. And then we're going to set this to one of these blending modes. Oh, wait, hang on. Oh, wait, what? Yeah, you know what? This works. Okay, and then we're going to go back and grab that background that we're working on. Okay, now that we've got a little bit more information. Okay, duplicate all those. Put them up here. Yeah, my one weakness as an artist is that I will for sure do way too many copies of the same layer. Okay, this works. And then crack this sucker open. Then merge these layers and copy paste. Gradient mapping. Here we go. What if I flipped this one? No, that doesn't make much of a difference. Coloring is so lovely. Perhaps I take a bite. Thank you, Leov. Ooh, this one will work. On the other hand, oh, I kind of like how vibrant this one is, actually. Let's see. Ooh, yeah, just a little bit of that. Well, let's see if we can't do the same for the background. Might be tougher than it looks. Or maybe not. Okay, so far multiply seems to be the best solution. This one's also pretty nice. Ooh, with the red, though. Hang on. We might be onto something here. Alright, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the soft eraser down here. Oh no, I should use some kind of brush. Maybe to kind of even it out a little bit. So maybe instead of this super bright red, I can do kind of like a purple, like a reddish coat. It's pretty good as it is, but it could always be better. Let's just dull it a little bit. I don't want it to look crispy, you know? This looks burnt to me. Although that ship might have already sailed when I made it this like this. Let's look without anything. I think this one's probably the best option. Maybe we can all even combine the two solutions a little bit. Okay, see, that's too much. That's burning it again. Overcooked. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to make the lines in what color should I make the lines? I need to make the shadows as well. Can't forget those. White seems like the obvious solution. Or maybe yellow. Yeah, the yellow would be a good one. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a new vector layer using a thick gouache paint. Here we go. Oh, I see. It's because it's hidden behind Harpatutsi. Let's see. That's not the right brush. Okay. Then over there. And now we're going to free transform this sucker to be on the ground. Could do with a bit more transformation up here. Yeah, this works. And then we're going to need to add the shadows. So that's going to be probably with some cross hatching. This one's good. Okay, bring this back. And then flatten it just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to say multiply, and then we're going to mess around with it in the hue settings. That works. And then we can use the liquify tool to bend it to our favor. Come on, bud. Get out from your little hidey hole. Oh no, I think that's the whole thing. Okay. That's the case. God, the liquify tool is such a terror to use. Okay, stuff it all in a folder. Get in the folder. Get in the folder. Oh, right, I can't put the paper in the folder. Ironically enough, you can't put the paper layer in the folder, which feels weird because I feel like that's logically the one thing you should be able to put in a folder. Okay, and then tonal correction, tone curve. Okay, maybe not the tone curve. There we go. Alright, mission accomplished. Crayon, handshake, and magnifying glass. Phew. Good work, everybody. Let me sign this sucker and we can head out. Can I redeem a backflip? Why not? I can try. Hang on. For your backflip redeem. Alright, 1 and a 2 and a Pablo flip! Booyah! And he sticks a landing. I guess that would be more of a cartwheel if you want to get super technical about it. Yeah, I was about to say that is technically a cartwheel if you want to get super technical about it. Well, we'll have to figure out the backflip some other time, unfortunately. But thank you all for coming by. I really appreciate it. Is there anybody I can raid right now? Who all up? Let's see. Oh, V's still doing the Toku Tuesday streaming, so we can go say hi. Alright, thank you all for coming by. I really appreciate it. Thanks again to Pearl and Jank for the raids. And I will see you all tomorrow for some Street Fighter 6. Later. Bye.